I think one of the biggest trends that we're seeing now in multi-academy trusts around using EdTech is that in the past we've seen a lot of EdTech. Everybody's really excited. We're here at BET and we're seeing so many different options and choices. And now it's about being more conscientious about the tools and the choices that you make and making sure that the tools that you are choosing are really delivering the impact that you want to see in the classroom and supporting pupils, to have that positive outcomes in the classroom, which is ultimately what we're all here for.
How do you see EdTech being used to support SEND learners in maths?
I think one of the most exciting things about EdTech is the fact that you can provide a much more personalized learning journey for each individual user. So now, where we used to see a very standardized approach to learning, everybody had the same desk, sat in little rows, and everybody had to look at the whiteboard and have their textbooks. Now we're seeing an opportunity with EdTech to provide an adapted learning experience with tools like Read Speaker, where they can be supported with their unique needs and requirements, but also personalizing their learning journey with different EdTech tools. So the EdTech space becomes so exciting to move away from such a standardized approach to learning where not every pupil has the opportunity to succeed, to making it a real plethora of tools that are all going to deliver the best outcomes for each pupil. So it's a very exciting space and definitely a very exciting time for students.
Fantastic, thank you. What advice would you give to math leaders who are looking to move to trust-wide adoption of EdTech?
I think there is a lot of value in looking at a centralized approach and looking at trust-wide adoption. You'll find some tools that do similarities, that have similar aspects to them, and you'll find tools that are very relevant across the board. So having a system similar to Skolon that really supports in giving you an ability to manage multiple different tools in one single place, manage those licenses, look at the usage, and deliver those licenses to the right users, that's where you're going to get the best experience for your data managers, your teachers, as well as your pupils, especially when it comes to engagement and ease of access. So I would highly recommend finding a system that is going to support you in what can ultimately be a quite complex system to manage if you're using lots of ed tech tools. Find the ones that work for you, see which ones work across the board, but by no means should you limit teachers also having a say in what's working in the classroom, because ultimately they're the ones in the front line. So it's about finding the right balance.
Perfect, thank you. Um, what similarities or differences do you see in EdTech developments between the Nordics and the UK?
That's an interesting question. I think something that has always marked the Scandinavian market is security. We're a Scandinavian company, so everything in what we do is incredibly robust when it comes to making sure that the data is secure. From being hosted in an independent server provider with no, data being shared, all in Europe, super secure, and that's all requirements that come from working with Scandinavian companies. So making sure the data is secure, no personal data is being shared, and truly minimizing data sharing is one of our top priorities. In the UK, I think that hasn't been so much as a priority, but that is definitely trending in a different direction. And I think the UK companies are starting to realize that actually, when you input something in ChatGPT, there might be some implications. You are sharing data with providers. And when you're looking to use more tech tools, you have to make sure that you have a partner that's going to make sure that you help to minimize that data sharing and keep your data security. So I think data is probably the biggest difference, but yeah, this is probably a longer conversation.
That's great, thank you. Last
Yeah,
question. Who has been your biggest influence in
yeah.
education and how have they impacted your role today?
I'm really lucky actually. Both of my parents were educators, and I was always sat around the dinner table. We'd always have dinner together, and I'd hear all their stories about education, about the pupils, about the teachers, and their own experiences. And both of my parents actually have different views on education, but my dad has been a huge inspiration for me, always giving me books and stuff and learnings about pedagogy and how actually every learner is unique. And that feeds into my own career now in EdTech, where I truly believe that standardized learning approach isn't necessarily the answer to the future to give every pupil a chance of success in life. I think giving them a unique ability to foster their own skills and talents and their humanity is the key thing. And I think EdTech is a great vehicle for that. So I'd say my dad is probably one of my biggest inspirations, but my mom is also absolutely amazing. So yeah, both.
Ah, lovely. Thank you very much.
No worries.